We'll now move on to the full Berkeley County Board of Education meeting. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this Berkeley County Board of Education meeting this Monday, June 24th, 2024. I call this meeting to order. I declare a quorum is present and the media has been notified according to the Freedom of Information Act. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Littleton, a second by Mr. Baker to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, I looked at the agenda for executive session a couple of days ago, and it did have student attendance appeals. Is that something that we do not need to do tonight?
Okay.
Am I correct in?
You're correct. We don't have any student attendance appeals tonight.
Pardon me?
We don't have any.
Okay. It was just listed, I guess, as a what if.
Right.
Okay.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 6-0. I'll now entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the board meeting on June 17th, 2024.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Littleton, a second by Ms. Bradley to approve the minutes for the board meeting on June 17th, 2024. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 6-0. I'll now entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Littleton, a second by Mr. Baker to enter into executive session. The stated purpose of executive session is the discussion of employment contracts and/or appointment of administrators as needed. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. The ayes have it. We are now in executive session. I'll now entertain a motion to return to regular session.
So moved. Second.
Made the motion.
I'm going to give you the second, Mr. Ramsey. Motion by Ms. Littleton, second by Mr. Ramsey, who's on the phone. Any discussion? Would like to state for the record that no action was taken in executive session. Now call the question to return to regular session. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 6-0. We are now in regular session. Please now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now move on to agenda item 4A. There are no additional citizen comments. So now we'll move on as action required from executive session.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the personnel recommendations of the administration as discussed in executive session for the current school year.
Second.
There's a motion.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Baker, a second by Ms. Littleton, to accept the personnel recommendations of the administration as discussed in executive session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Lindsay Phillips as a principal of Sedgefield Middle School with a contract to begin effective immediately.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Littleton, a second by Mr. Barrow, to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Lindsay Phillips as the principal at Sedgefield Middle School with a contract to begin effective immediately. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 6-0. All the team that you brought with you too, straight from the meeting, all stand up. Thank you, team.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Jamie Cook as the assistant principal at Sedgefield Middle School with a contract to begin July 15th, 2024.
Second?
There's a motion by Ms. Bradley, a second by Ms. Littleton, to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Jamie Cook as the assistant principal at Sedgefield Middle School with a contract to begin July 15th, 2024. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Congratulations.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to name James Shore as the assistant principal at Berkeley Middle School with contract to begin July 22nd, 2024.
Second, there is a motion by Mr. Baker, a second by Wofford, to accept the recommendation of the administration to name James Shore as the assistant principal at Berkeley Middle School with a contract to begin July 22nd, 2024. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 6-0. Mr. Shore cannot be here tonight.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Randall Tucker as the athletic director, assistant principal at Cane Bay High School with a contract to begin July 1, 2024.
Second?
I defer to you, Ms. Littleton. There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Ms. Littleton, to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Randall Tucker as the athletic director, assistant principal at Cane Bay High School with a contract to begin effective July 1, 2024. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 6-0. Here. Next, we're on to agenda item 6A. Mr. Ramsey is on the phone, but he is not able to make the committee report, so I'm going to make the committee report for him. The Committee on Finance and Human Resources met earlier this evening, and on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the second reading of the 24-25 general fund budget as presented. That's a recommendation from committee. There's no second required. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to move to amend the motion to include the merger of JK Elementary School and St. Stephen Elementary School and reinvest funds to the rural schools as determined by administration.
So Ms. Littleton has put an amendment on the table. Is there a second?
Second?
There's a second by Mr. Baker. We'll now debate and vote on the amendment, which is to merge JK Gradine Elementary School and St. Stephen Elementary School and reinvest the funds into rural schools as determined by administration. Is there any discussion?
So why wasn't that presented last meeting? So we could have time to discuss the reasoning for that, other than the saving of $1.5 million. Not that that's not a big deal, but why didn't we discuss it last week? You have no community input. What community members was involved?
I believe we discussed it quite a bit last week.
not really. I kind of said my thoughts on it, but I'm not sure how well it was discussed among the community members. So that's where I am right now. What community members did you contact? What were their thoughts? How did they feel?
There are members of the community who have been contacted and that were
All
supportive
I'm
of
asking
this.
is, who did you contact and what did they say?
I did not personally contact people.
So how do you, I understand, I was late coming in tonight, and one of the gentlemen here spoke.
Yes.
What was his comments? That was a good idea?
Ms. Bradley, you can speak and say your piece, but everyone's an equal member of the board. There is an
I understand that.
There is an interrogation. There's your point of view, your perspective, the people who spoke to you, your opinions. Please share those.
I'd like to share my concern that because this is a surprise to me.
It is to me as well.
It seems that this could have been a discussion for executive session, for us to discuss it. I'm really taken aback by this motion to amend the other motion, Mr. Chairman. So I do have a question. If this passes, and it seems like it probably will, when does this take effect? We can't do that.
My recommendation would be for it to take place this school year, coming school year.
That was not in the motion. You did not stipulate that, so you're adding that to that? See,
You're asking me the question, and therefore I'm responding to you.
well,
So then you've
but it has to be,
also.
it has to be under, excuse me, it has to
I'm
be
sorry.
placed in the motion as to when this is going to occur.
Would you accept a friendly amendment to merge JK Elementary School and St. Stephen Elementary School effective, this pen doesn't write anymore.
Immediately.
Effective
So then why didn't Dr.
2024
Dixon give any
2024
information last week when he spoke?
2024, please, got to stay in order or we'll have no idea what happened. So this is a friendly amendment to be effective the 2024-2025 school year.
So
Ms.
was
Littleton,
that-
do you accept the friendly amendment?
I do.
Is that your amendment or Ms. Littleton's amendment? Can you amend her amendment?
You can make a friendly amendment and she can accept it. You can make a friendly amendment, she can accept it. If she doesn't accept it, you take a second and you vote. So now the amended motion reads, merge J.K. Gerdine Elementary School and St. Stephen Elementary School effective 2024-2025 school year. Reinvest the funds into rural schools as determined by administration. So that's the motion that's on the table. I think the questions about, is it possible, and Dr. Dixon is not directing this. This is something that was brought forth by board members, but the questions of, is it possible, and what the administration can do, those questions I think are for Dr. Dixon.
That is part of my discussion that I was actually going to ask Dr. Dixon. How feasible is this to make this transition so quickly? And is your administration in support of this, should the board direct you to do this?
So should the board direct us to do this, our administration is poised to take action on what is directed for us to do. And if also we are also poised to, speak to our community and do what's best for the students at the school in this situation. So we will have to definitely bring our community together and take action immediately if this is what the board.
So if this amendment passes, Madam Chair, would that be a part of the proposal to approve the general fund budget?
So.
Because if it does, I'm going to vote no.
Yep, so the first thing that it'll vote on is this amendment. If it passes, it becomes
Correct.
part of the motion for the general, it will be attached to the general fund budget motion.
That's a
If it
poor
does
way to
not
do it.
pass, it would be put to the side and you would be back to the original motion for the general fund.
This
budget.
is a poor way to approve a general fund by changing the demographics and changing a school site to incorporate into another. This should be done separately. I don't think it has, it has some effect on the general fund budget, but it's minimal. As you're talking about a $475 million budget, we're talking about $1 million savings to do that. But I think this is improper to attach this to a general fund budget. It should have been done separately.
This was presented to us as as a consideration when we first heard about the budget. At the first reading, we had a discussion at length about this merger. And so this is why it's being brought up at the same time as the budget meeting.
And I beg to differ because
Yes, sir, you're out of order. Please sit. This is not a public, please, sir, no, sir, no, sir. I'm
There was no
very
discussion.
sorry. Please, this is not a public meeting. Yes, sir, this is not a public meeting. This is a meeting of the board in public. So
So was the last meeting when she said it was for.
yes, sir, please either sit and watch the meeting or please leave. Thank you very much. It's not a public meeting. It's
But
completely out of
everything
order.
that has been said is correct. It was given as other consideration, not to be considered as a part of the general fund budget. Now, when Dr. Dixon was on the phone, not one time did he mention the merger to be this quick at all. And then to say, then we're going to talk about it with the community, that's backwards.
I'm
Ms.
not,
I understand.
I'm making this
No,
this
Ms.
motion.
Littleton, you said, let me speak. You said last week you wanted to know, the prior meeting, you wanted to know the feasibility of combining JK and St. Stephen Elementary. So Ms. Abramson did what you asked. And then now to say you want to merge, why not have said it then? I got the feeling that's what you wanted to do or say, but you didn't say that. Now you're backtracking and saying the community was notified. No one in the community knew. So now, no, hold on. So now you're trying to put it in as a recommendation. I do realize I don't have the vote to say no, but I'm telling you, you did not consult the community. You did not get the input. Yes, if you want to vote yay, fine. I'm going to vote no. The community needed to be consulted beforehand. You do things under the cover, you make it a mess. Now, the children will be transported to St. Stephen Elementary, okay? Bus schedules then have to be worked out. Parents rerouting their work schedules. So now you're asking everybody to uproot themselves in a matter of weeks. Had you given advance notice, I'm sure they would have been fine with it. I'm sure. Mr. Baker, I'm not sure how to take the smirk on your face. It is real unthinkable, it is real petty that you all would try to combine JK and St. Stephen Elementary without even giving the community that supports you an option, a choice, a say, a hear. They at least deserve that. This is an election year, and some of us are up for re-election. And I can guarantee you this is not something that you want hanging over your head during an election year.
Thank you, Ms. Bradley. I'm going to go from
And you're
one.
cutting
I'm
me
going to
off.
go
I
through.
don't believe that should be allowed
I'm going
because
to
you
go
asked
from
me to
one-
express my opinion.
Yes,
my
ma'am,
thoughts.
but no
and
one
now
else
you're
has
cutting
had
me
an-
off, just
no
like
one
you did
else-
the gentleman in the public.
Well, the gentleman in the public is not on the board, so
Okay, Miss Wofford.
that
You're the chair of tonight.
Yes, ma'am, and I like things
All
to
right,
be in
let's
order.
move on,
And
because
there's
this
no
is gonna
need to be
backfire.
disrespectful. So,
And this is
Mr.
gonna
Ramsey, you're
backfire.
one. So, Mr. Ramsey, do you have any comments that you would like to give on the amendment?
Thank you, Chairman Wofford. The comments that I have to add is, I grew up right down the road from JK, and I am a proud alumnus of St. Stephen Elementary, and I am extremely proud of all the things that those little children out there accomplished. I love the principal at St. Stephen's, Miss Edie, and the main thing that matters to me is that any money that is saved part of this situation goes back directly to these children, whether it be after school care, whether it be programs to help make sure third graders are up to par as far as reading. That is my whole emphasis. I could give a rip about politics. For me, this is about the children, and I want my children out there at St. Stephen's and JK to have the same opportunities as the children here in Hanahan and Goose Creek. So that's where I stand on it, is that I'm about for the children, and if we're going to do this, the monies and the opportunities need to be fully reinvested back to these kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Baker, do you have any additional comments to add?
Sure. This did come up, and I did take this seriously. And I did do my due diligence, and I did make phone calls, and I asked people on both sides. And, a couple things important to me. The building, I think we need to look at doing something with the building that is going to also serve the community. I mean, it serves a community now. That's really important to me, that it still serves a community. It's not all about the money, but what it does is it does provide those additional services to the children. So that's my number one focus. That's why I'm sitting up here. I don't care that, may potentially be up for election this year. That has zero merit into my decision making. I'm going to make the same decision every single time, regardless of the year. So the children are number one. I did speak to somebody today and, really asking them why. What services do JK provide, or does JK provide, that St. Stephen Elementary doesn't, and there is not any. And they're going to receive more services at St. Stephen Elementary. So that's why I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Ms. Littleton, any addition? Everybody gets one chance to talk. Ms. Littleton, do you have any other comments to add about your amendment?
Just that this is solely based on what I think is best for the children, and I agree that the building needs to honor the community and its 100-year use.
So I grew up in this area, have a lot of respect for both schools. My primary concern is making sure that every kid gets every possible opportunity, investing the money into those children to make sure that the rural schools are providing the same. It's a couple of miles difference, which I do know is bus schedules and all those things. But to me, to drive a couple of miles and receive significantly more services, tutors, and clubs and things is a significant difference to me. I do feel like we've talked about this multiple times. I've been on the board 10 years. I feel like it has been talked about many, many, many times. There have been many meetings about it. The previous time that it was discussed, there was a long discussion with the county to make the school building a community center. And I think that's very important that we pursue that relationship with the county and make this building a valuable building to the community and provide senior services and community services. So those are my thoughts. Ms. Bradley?
I looked at a report that I believe Ms. Abramson passed out, and it says JK is allocated $63,395 for this school year. Is that correct? This sheet. So therefore, that $63,000 will now go to St. Stephen Elementary for those children?
Yes, ma'am. That's their supply and service budget. That doesn't include their operating cost for gas, electricity, all those type things.
Okay. So those additional services that will be given, what are those going to cost? We now have to have mental health counselors. I still believe in that, since we're all talking about the best thing for the child. Those services that are not provided now, how is that going to affect? That $1.5 million will go back to whom? Or will stay in the general fund and be used as needed? Or what happens to the savings of 1.5?
I would say Dr. Dixon?
Well, so since if you put this on the spot, asking what the 1.5 million would do in terms of savings, what the amendment says is reinvesting it back into the rural schools. So our first priority would be to make sure if the school increases in students, then their allocations will then increase, and then their opportunities and access for those services. St. Stephen, I believe, has an after-school program with Wings. That is a grant-funded program. The students will still be afforded that opportunity. They have various, the mental health, the social workers. If the allocations increase for more, then it will still add to those students will be on that caseload for those students as well. So we will definitely reinvest that money back into those students.
So how does the structure of the new merged school, what will it look like? I know Dr. Norton is there now, Dr. Perlow
Right.
is there. How are we going to merge those two principals?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, that
I'm
would
looking
be
at
what we
technicalities
start-
down the road.
Right, so what we'll have to do is this team, our team will be poised and ready to convene tomorrow, and we would have to develop an immediate plan of action as to how you have to merge the schools and the logistics of that merge.
So again, I'm going to say that if this was the plan from day one, I think as board members, every one of us should have known that was the plan. We're thinking about it, we're looking at it, this is a possibility. To be kept in the dark until Ms. Littleton asked the question, it seems a little skeptic to me that she would prompt this question to bring us where we are now. And then to hear her say on the recommendation tonight that she wants to merge these two schools, to me, it's a planned measure. And if the plan is to do that, again, all of us as board members should know. The few that knew should have said to those that didn't. So, Ms. Littleton, you said to me that I was dismissive of you. This is what I'm talking about. We don't communicate. If you knew that last time, the time before that, why not say something? Okay? Then when I get angry, when I express my opinion, when my voice level rises, everybody think I'm being combative. If you knew, then all of us should have known. That's how it makes the boat stay afloat a whole lot better. When one side tips the boat and the other side is struggling for life, somebody's going to fail. I don't want Berkeley County School District to fail under my watch. I don't want JK and St. Stephen Elementary to fail on anybody's watch. However, I still say if Dr. Dixon knew, Dr. Dixon's staff, his cabinet knew, and they related to you, being that I'm the representative for District 7, somebody should have reached out to me. Am I being technical? Am I being slighted? That's how I feel, okay? So because these parents did not know, unless they knew and nobody kept it, everybody kept it a secret, I don't know, but somebody should have said, not today, Mr. Baker, you calling parents, calling the community. Not Mr. Ramsey, who's been there, hadn't been there, Ms. Wofford, they grew up there, all those things. If they grew up there, they cared about it, then let everybody know. There's a documentary going on now in that area. We could have been included. However, you keep things under the cover, and that's the trust issue. We don't trust each other. Now, you said to me, I would love to sit down and talk with you. You can't because you don't trust me enough to tell me what you know, what your thoughts are. That affect the entire district, not just District 7, but all our children. And everybody's talking about all the children, but you don't think about them because you kept it under the covers. Trust is so important. And for you, Mr. Baker, to be the God-fearing man you are, trust is a part of God's integrity plan. And you did not trust any of us, me, enough to say, Ms. Bradley, this is what we're thinking about. Ms. Bradley, you know, there's this good possibility St. Stephen and JK ought to be merged. Your integrity, being honest. Those are attributes that we all have. And again, it does not come through as a true Christian to hide stuff under the cover.
Mr.
Yes,
Ba-
ma'am, I'm done.
Madam
I
Chair.
am so finished.
Madam
Yeah,
Chair.
I would say, Mr. Barrow.
Thank you
it's-
very
yes.
much. I appreciate it. Madam Chair Lady, could this be rescinded as an amendment to the motion and have this as a separate motion? Because very simply, I was in full support. I am in full support of this budget. But I think Ms. Bradley's correct. I feel like I've been blindsided, and it may be improper, but I'd like to know if other board members were made aware of this amendment prior to the evening, and if so, why weren't all the board members included? Why weren't we all told that this was going to become as an amendment to a motion to accept the general fund budget? This is improper. I think it should be a separate motion. I don't think it has. It has relevance to the general fund budget, but this is, I think, is a red herring here. I think you're throwing this into the general fund budget, which I support. But because of the way this was done, I can't support this. Not that I disagree that it might be in the best interest of the students. The way this has been surreptitiously handled, at least that's my opinion, it seems like I'm in the dark. I know Ms. Bradley's in the dark. The gentleman who spoke earlier is, the community members are evidently not aware of this. So I would respectfully request that the amendment be rescinded and have this as a separate motion and do the general fund budget separately, because these are two separate issues, totally.
So the amendment, so the information was presented as information only, but it was presented in the budget on the first reading. So it is connected to the general fund budget. It was information that was presented here based on Ms. Littleton's request. I've worked with Kathy on this board quite a long time, and she and I have talked about this multiple times before. It is a concern that she's carried for many years. And I feel like she expressed it the other night. But the amendment cannot stand alone because it's not a standalone thing on the agenda. It's connected to the budget. So if there are no further comments.
I would like to ask Ms. Littleton, I think you're an honest lady. Did you discuss this and tell the other board members that you were going to bring this up as an amendment?
I have brought this up to members of the board. I've brought this up for
I'm talking about
probably
individually.
the last 3 or 4 years, that this is something that needed to be done.
I understand that. That's not my question. My question is, did you tell the other board members that you were going to make this as an amendment to the budget resolution? Did you talk to other board members in advance of this meeting and exclude Ms. Bradley and myself? Yes or no?
I have. But not to your exclusion. It's just that I have brought it up in the last meeting.
Well, you have my number.
I brought it up in the last meeting.
But you just said that you spoke to the other board members prior to this meeting
I have spoken
personally
to
and
all board
individually.
members. All board members.
This is
no,
improper,
no,
Ms.
no, no.
Ms. Wofford. I would love to have supported the general fund budget, but
Yes, so-
because the way this is done, and I want the public to know that is my position. I would love to support the general fund budget, but when it comes down, and I know this amendment is going to be approved, it's obvious it's going to be approved 4-2. But I'm not supportive of this amendment, therefore I cannot vote, if you understand what I'm saying, because this amendment is attached to the budget, which is improper.
So it's not, in your opinion, you may disagree with the amendment, but it's not improper. It is an appropriate amendment. It has been made. It has been seconded. So if there's no further discussion, we'll call the question on the amendment, which is to merge J.K. Gerdine Elementary School and St. Stephen Elementary School effective the 24-25 school year, with all funds to be reinvested into rural schools as determined by the administration. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
Nay.
4-2. So we voted on the amendment, so now we're back to the original motion as amended. Is there any further discussion on the general fund budget as amended?
I'd
Hearing
like
none.
to say that I think Ms. Abramson has done a good job of, under extraordinary circumstances, being a first-year CFO. I'd like to commend you for that, and unfortunately, I cannot support it.
All right, hearing no other comments, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The budget passes 4-2. Also on recommendation of the committee, we move to approve the use of fund balance as needed to support the 24-25 general fund budget beginning July 1, 2024. This approval will be automatically revoked immediately upon the state legislature's passage of the 24-25 state budget. That is the recommendation from the committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it, 5-1. Next up is the board chair report. There's a reminder that there's only one board meeting in July, and it will be held on July 15th, beginning at 5:30 p.m. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, there's a motion by Ms. Littleton, a second by Wofford to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. The ayes have it, 6-0. We are adjourned.